So while we wait another couple of minutes, I would like to share with you the final agenda of this interesting webinar. We have a very brief introduction, 10 minutes, done by Climate-KIC. Later, we have an Envisioning Startup Village, the Subequana Valley. The presentation will be done by Professor Lelio Iapadre. We have a focus on what is a startup village. The speaker will be our project coordinator from Fundão. We have a presentation about why rural matters, the power of startup and bioeconomy. And the last part will be dedicated to introducing the FoodCoP platform. We will give a very brief introduction, and we will navigate together the actual version of the platform that has been already published. So while the other participant will be connected, I would like to leave the floor to Elisa for her presentation. So thanks to all the speakers and all the participants. So please, Elisa, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, just sharing my screen. Okay, so hi everyone, thank you for joining. So I will give a very brief introduction about the project. My name is Elisa, I'm a project manager from Climate-KIC. And yes, so the presentation will go over those points. So talking about briefly just some overview about the project. So the project is led by Municipality of Fundão in Portugal. It has partners in 9 different countries, and it's funded by the European Research Agency through a Horizon Europe grant. And the duration is 24 months, so it started in November 2024. So we already have a few tasks going on, and yeah, we are seeing a few results already of this project. So talking now about the consortium, so FoodCoP brings together 14 partners from across Europe, forming a very diverse and dynamic network. So our consortium includes startup villages, of course, which are the main focus of the project, but also regional networks, clusters, SMEs, research centers, and innovation communities. So the strong collaboration ensures that we have the right expertise and resources to lead the transformation of rural food systems through this circular bioeconomy principles. So together we want not only to innovate within the food sector, but also we want to create these lasting impacts that will continue well beyond the project lifetime, hopefully. So now talking finally about the project. So I know we will go more in detail later with Mariana from Fundão. So just to introduce a little bit the concept in case anyone here is not familiar. So yeah, what is a startup village? So a startup village is this rural community or a group of rural communities that fosters an innovation-driven and entrepreneurial environment to really create opportunities for sustainable growth. So it actively supports the development of new businesses, especially startups, and promotes the uptake of digital, green, and bioeconomy solutions to revitalize rural economies. So in the context of EU policies, startup villages are positioned as the main boosters for rural bioeconomy, reversing a few challenges that I will mention next, such as the population trends, and really ensuring this long-term socioeconomic sustainability in rural areas. So now talking a little bit about the context of FoodCoP. So FoodCoP was born from the recognition that rural areas have a crucial role to play in Europe's green and digital transitions, but they also face structural challenges like, as I mentioned before, the population, but also challenges like limited economic opportunities and a gap between innovation and real needs of rural communities. So in the wake of COVID, new opportunities emerged. So we saw growth on green economy, bioeconomy, and flexible work models, also a renewed appreciation for rural areas. So building on that, the concept of startup villages became this cornerstone for innovation and sustainable development. So FoodCoP stands out at the heart of this strategy. So our project connects 7 pioneering startup villages to act as main actors for developing rural innovation best practices and models. So really testing, implementing, and scaling circular bioeconomy solutions in their local food systems. So our goal is really to make rural food systems more sustainable, more resilient to climate and market shocks, and more circular, reducing waste and maximizing local resources. So by empowering these local actors through training, knowledge exchange, and a lot of practical experimentation, FoodCoP is creating models for sustainable rural development that can be replicated across Europe. So FoodCoP uses a very participatory approach that places the startup villages at the center. And you will see, I will mention a million times during this presentation, our participatory and collaborative approach. So you will see that many activities include events and workshops and webinars, but it's because we really want to have this co-creation approach and have a hands-on project where local actors are heard and actively involved. So yeah, we start with 7 villages, startup villages across Portugal, Ireland, Slovenia, and Greece. And at the heart of this project is the FoodCoP platform, which also will be mentioned more later on this webinar. But yeah, it's a digital hub that connects startup villages, shares resources, tools, and just bioeconomy best practices. So just yesterday, we had a sense-making workshop with the 7 startup villages, so I'm really inspired now. And we really saw a need to exchange experiences and knowledge and connect with each other because there were many synergies in challenges faced or even in the concept of the project. So it's important to have this place to just connect and share experiences. And another challenge that was common in a few startup villages was the difficulties in engaging with community and stakeholders. But once they managed to do so, the stakeholders and the community really saw the benefits in the project. So we really want to build this strong community engagement involving different local actors in the workshops, in the hackathons, and also training, empowering them to design and apply the sustainable innovative solutions. So also, as I mentioned before, the collaboration. So another thing is the interregional collaboration. It's really a key part of the project. So by connecting the villages across borders, we want to strengthen rural ecosystems and really address shared challenges and shared opportunities together. So finally, we also aim to show the circular bioeconomy in action. So optimizing resources, reducing waste, and cutting emissions, creating a more resilient and prosperous rural Europe. So in terms of methodology, FoodCoP is structured around 3 kind of interconnected phases. So first, we focus on setting up the ecosystem. So this phase is about building this strong collaborative framework among the startup villages. So 3 villages are directly involved in the project activities, but we already have also 4 other that are also already very active. But through our engagement strategy, we aim to reach even more startup villages, establishing this network, which is really essential for catalyzing innovation and enabling this continuous flow of knowledge and experience. And second, we move to empowering the community. So here we focus on mobilizing and directly supporting rural innovators and stakeholders. So a major milestone is the launch of the FoodCoP Community of Practice platform, where we aim to engage over 1,500 innovators, and we will host also in this phase the hackathons, the capacity building sessions, and many like events to provide skills development opportunities and also foster this practical and this hands-on innovation. So at last, we move to the creating the long-lasting impact. So we want to replicate successes by inspiring many other startup villages through the dissemination of 6 case studies showcasing bioeconomy innovation. So we also intend to influence regional and national policy to ensure that the positive impacts of FoodCoP extend far beyond the project's lifetime. So each phase builds on the previous one, ensuring that the innovation we foster is really community-driven, scalable, and resilient over time. Now talking a little bit of the specific objectives. So yeah, they are interconnected also on this collaboration and sustainability and economic impact. So I will go quickly over them also because I feel you are already getting tired of me talking about collaboration. But yes, so under collaboration, we aim to catalyze this innovation, facilitate a lot of knowledge exchange, and establish a collaborative model for embedding the circular bioeconomy principles into local food systems. So again, talking about the workshop yesterday, while one startup village was talking about the challenge they faced with funding and how they or trying to work around that, another startup village mentioned how relieved they were that when they saw that they weren't the only ones facing this kind of challenge. So they really benefited from the discussions and from the ideas around that. So yes, this model will include like regular interaction spaces such as these workshops, and also programs to promote sharing of best practices and lessons learned. And besides, we'll also work on actionable guidelines that can be adapted to different contexts. So on the sustainability objectives, FoodCoP focuses on supporting startup villages and adopting the circular bioeconomy principles into their food systems. So the objective is to transform the way food is produced, processed, and distributed by promoting circular bioeconomy practices and involving different stakeholders in the co-creation phase. And finally, regarding economic impact, FoodCoP will support local economic development and facilitate financing opportunities. Now, a little bit on the impacts. So through our work with startup villages, we aim to enhance Europe's role in sustainable food production and resource management. So by empowering the rural communities to adopt the circular practices, we want to accelerate the transition towards climate smart, resilient, and inclusive food systems. And FoodCoP also wants to demonstrate how local action can drive systemic change. So we see a lot of focus on innovation in big urban areas. So all the innovation and investments focus on urban areas. And with FoodCoP, we really want to shift this. So with the FoodCoP and startup villages, we want to shift this focus, showcasing the great potential for innovation and entrepreneurship in rural areas. So really trying to value the local resources. So yes, this project will develop and demonstrate governance and business models that are scalable across Europe. And this will serve as kind of a blueprint for sustainable practices in other regions. So through this project, the consortium really wants to elevate the role of startups in rural innovation ecosystems and enhancing their capabilities to develop new technologies and approaches. Now, a little bit of encouraging sustainable rural practices. So the startup villages that we've been working with have really amazing projects. And yeah, I think you will see a little bit of this today in this webinar. But yeah, so FoodCoP is all about co-creating with the startup villages to find best ways of strengthening them and supporting the development of new ones. So by developing this bioeconomy solutions and sharing knowledge, FoodCoP wants to empower startup villages to become models for sustainable rural development across Europe. So it's really working with them to understand the needs and the challenges and working with the success cases and sharing the best practices so that others can also use this knowledge to be successful. And now just to mention quickly that FoodCoP is also directly aligned with major European Union priorities in sustainability, rural development, and digital innovation. So yes, just this all to say that FoodCoP drives food system transformation by embedding the circular bioeconomy principles into rural innovation. So it empowers the startup villages to test and scale sustainable food practices. It supports rural entrepreneurship. It builds local skills through training and capacity building, and wants to really foster this cross-regional knowledge exchange and collaboration, connecting different actors. So thank you very much for listening, and yes, stop share.
Lisa, thanks a lot for the fantastic overview that you have provided about the project. And of course, I would like to remember to all of you that you can, if you have any specific question, you can write in the chat, and we will be able to reply to your question. In the meantime, I would like to leave the floor to Pasquale Lelio Iapadre for his presentation. And so I call you Pasquale. The floor is yours. I don't know if it's Pasquale or Lelio, but so
it's
I
better Lelio. Everybody calls me
Lelio.
Lelio.
So I come from Naples, so it's a typical Italian name, Pasquale. And so the floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Not for the moment.
Let me try again.
No. Yes, now yes.
Okay, thanks. And thanks for inviting me in this very interesting webinar. My role is that of presenting a specific case of a startup village, which happened to be the first Italian village to be included in the European map of startup villages. And now I saw a few minutes ago that we have another startup village, the Downy Mountains in the Apulia region. But at the start of the project, we were the only one, and I was quite surprised for this result. The name of the place is the Subequana Valley, and I will tell you.
Pasquale, excuse me, you are mute. I don't know. We cannot hear you. Okay.
And now?
Okay.
Shall I restart from the principle, or you stopped to hear me at a certain point in time? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you.
And shall I begin again from the start or not?
No, from this slide is okay.
From this slide, okay,
yes,
fine.
Thank you.
So this is the outline of my presentation. I will say something about the context in which the case I'm going to present can be framed. That is a context familiar to all of you, so I will be relatively quick about this first section about European startup villages in general. Then I will present the case of the Subequana Valley with its main features, problems, and assets. And this will lead me to say something about an important national strategy, which is called the Inner Areas Strategy, which has a fundamental role in the Subequana Valley. And finally, I will show you some clear signs of resilience and sustainable development in the valley, which qualify it as an envisioning startup village, as it was identified by the JRC. Now, about the context. the European Startup Villages project is part of the long-term vision of the European Union for rural areas, and in particular of its flagship action on research and innovation for rural communities. And we met this project in the context of a meeting organized by the Joint Research Center in Brussels 2 years ago, dedicated to the Startup Village Forum. The idea was that of trying to revitalize rural areas by improving the availability and quality of social services and creating work opportunities for residents, which requires the spread of innovation and entrepreneurship abilities as key drivers of rural development in these areas. The concept was based on an important paper by Goodwin Hawkins and other authors published in 2023, where the startup village is defined as a place or a network of small places that embrace innovation and ambitious entrepreneurship as a driver of development and of well-being in rural areas. So at the core of the concept is the idea to try to create an entrepreneurial and innovative ecosystem in the context of a small rural place. Now, this idea could convey the misleading message that this kind of policy should be strongly rooted in the place in which it is developed. So the idea of a place-based policy. But what matters is that although being place-based, this policy should never become place-bound, because international integration is fundamental for sustainable local development, as we will see in the examples I will present you, which means that any kind of identitarian obsession, both at the local and at the national level, has to be rejected. Going into the details, the baseline requirements of a startup village, as defined in the paper I already quoted, can be grouped into 3 categories: resource endowments, the so-called hardware of the village, which has to do with infrastructure, services, and places where the community can meet. Institutional arrangements, the orgware of the village, which has to do with the engagement of local institutions with the rest of the community. And finally, and probably most importantly, the engagement of the local community and stakeholders in the project of the village, which requires that the village shares a sense of place, a sense of belonging to a community. This is defined as the software of the village. The same paper identifies 3 different levels of maturity for startup villages, and clearly, as we will see, the Subequana Valley is at the initial level, the so-called envisioning level. It is, as we will see, it still faces very serious problems and challenging, but it is actively exploring existing opportunities and identifying among the ones which can be more useful to truly become a startup village. What are the main features of the valley? The village is made of, the area is made of 10 villages in the inner mountain part of the Abruzzo region, which is close to Rome, but is part of southern Italy. And you may see here the list of villages that are part of the area. In total, they are inhabited by about 4,000 people, and they can be defined as a remote rural area because their distance from the nearest city, which is L'Aquila, is between 40 and 75 minutes of drive. An important feature of this area is that it was hit by a tremendous earthquake in 2009, the L'Aquila earthquake, and the process of reconstruction has not been completed yet. So there are still problems created by the earthquake, and reconstruction activities are an important part of what's happening in the valley. This also explains the specific economic base, in which, of course, as everywhere, the services sector is the most important one. But here, the services sector means, above all, construction activities, mostly related to the effects of the earthquake, and also retail distribution and tourism. Tourism is probably below the potential of the valley. But of course, I will have no time to enter into the details about the problems of tourism. On the contrary, I would say something more specific about agricultural productions, which are very important in this valley, and the public administration. There is a total of about 70 micro-enterprises operating in the agricultural sector in the valley, and the most important products are listed here. Livestock consists mostly of cattle, sheep, and donkeys. The main farming products are cereals, saffron, truffles, and forage. And there are also some processed products, including baked goods, wine, beer, and olive oil. Unfortunately, only a minority of these firms own a proprietary brand, and they make a very limited use of e-commerce so far. On the other hand, a significant number of firms is already adopting a multifunctional vision of their agricultural activities, including the contribution they can give to the preservation of the environment and of traditional cultures. And some of them are also already experimenting innovative strategies, including in the bioeconomy sector. However, problems in the valley remain very serious. Using the startup village categorization, if we consider resource endowments, that is hardware, we see first of all that demographic decline is a very serious problem. The population is aging rapidly, birth rates are declining, a lot of young people emigrate from the region, and levels of immigration are still small. The digital infrastructure is weak. There are problems of broadband availability and speed, even in comparison to other inner areas in Italy. Public transportation services are insufficient with respect to what would be needed, particularly if there is an ambition to better meet external demand of goods and services. And in the valley, there is a complete lack of incubators, accelerators, or scientific and technological parks, which limits business development. Then, considering the org-ware, the institutional arrangements, there are several problems in the multi-level governance system of local institutions concerning both the fragmentation among institutions and persisting problems in the vertical allocation of competencies across different institutions. And finally, considering stakeholder engagement, it can be said that the stock of social capital is not large enough because there are still problems in the relationship among different actors in the system. So this looks as a very negative picture of the situation, which allows to say, what is the future that we don't want? And the future that we don't want is a future in which the demographic decline continues, the availability of social services continues to deteriorate, and all the above problems are made even more serious by vulnerability to disasters and climate change. Having said all this, which is the negative part of my presentation, there are also very important assets that can be exploited. First of all, in terms of resource endowments, the beautiful environmental, landscape, and cultural heritage of the area. And in the most recent years, a significant amount of financial resources that have been made available by the National Plan for Reconstruction and Resilience and a more specific program for the areas hit by recent earthquakes in central Italy, which is the Next Appennino program, in addition to several European, national, and regional programs. Concerning institutional arrangement, there is the very important inner areas strategy, which I will present in a minute, but there is a fundamental role played by a special office for the reconstruction of the municipalities of the crater, of the small villages of this area, which was established in 2013 after the earthquake. And the role of social innovation brokers is played by the two academic institutions which are located in the closest city, L'Aquila, which are the Gran Sasso Science Institute and the University of L'Aquila. And one important project carried out by the University of L'Aquila, which is called Open Territories, is precisely aimed at building better resilience conditions in areas vulnerable to disasters such as the Subequana Valley. Finally, concerning stakeholder engagement, the civil society in the valley is very active. Now, the inner area strategy in Italy was established in 2014, and its implementation has been very slow in the last decade. However, its main ideas remain, in my view, fundamental to try to address the problems I have been presenting so far. The vision inspiring the strategy is that what we need is a parallel improvement in social services, mainly through national policy and funds, and investments in selected development factors for which European funds can be particularly useful. The second pillar of the strategy is the multi-level governance system, in which at the same time you have a bottom-up approach and a top-down organization of policies, which implies the responsibility of national administrations. And the third, and possibly the most important one, is the participatory approach, which is necessary to make so that these policies are democratically accountable and effective. Now, concerning the Subequana Valley, its specific strategy in the context of the inner area national strategy has a series of expected outcomes, which includes an improvement in the availability and quality of social services, a reinforcement of already existing elements of social economy in the valley, an improvement in the quality of skills, a specific investment in the agricultural economy and in tourism, and also new job opportunities in other areas such as the audiovisual industry, which can be connected to tourism, given the beautiful places which are located in the valley, and also the experience made with the restoration of buildings after the earthquake can be used to create new jobs in the valley. And actually, signs of resilience and sustainable development are already visible. Here I give you a list of examples. Problems of digital infrastructure remain serious, but the situation is improving thanks to the National Strategic Plan for ultra broadband. Some co-working spaces for entrepreneurs are already available, and both the Gran Sasso Science Institute and the University of L'Aquila are at disposal of local enterprises with their knowledge sharing activities. There are two recent and important so-called municipal PhD projects based on the cooperation between local municipalities, the special office I already mentioned, and the University of L'Aquila. The first one is aimed at identifying the innovation needs of local entrepreneurs, and we have interviewed all local enterprises in the valley, and we are now working to process the information we obtained through a long series of direct meetings aimed at better understanding what is their innovation need and how it can be met thanks to the knowledge available at the University of L'Aquila. And the second and most recent project has to do with the management of local transportation systems. Then the inner area strategy includes a project to create a network for permanent education in the area, and there are already some examples in this direction. Then here you may see a list of experiments, practices that have been activated in the valley in the last few years, which are a clear sign of its potential and of its resilience. There is a project based on the idea that immigration can be beneficial for local development, and the most important example is in Fontecchio, with the Artist Residence Project. Fontecchio has also hosted a mountain hub, which is aimed at supporting people who consider the possibility to remain or to migrate into this area. There is an important renewable energy community in Gaiano Aterno, which in the next few months will be spread also in other villages of the area. The area is part of a larger important project called Model Forest, which is connected to similar projects in the Mediterranean area and elsewhere. And recently, a specific project aimed at encouraging experiential tourism in the valley has been launched by the already mentioned special office, which is called Cammini degli Altipiani, walking across the mountains of the valley. So, trying to summarize all what I have presented you, let's start from the hardware. The problems remain serious because the demographic decline has not been stopped, and there are no signs of a slowdown in this trend, however, with some exceptions in some villages. The basic infrastructure I described remains weak, even if there are improvement signs. Concerning the orgware, there are still problems in the multi-level governance of local development policies because it remains unfortunately very fragmented, and this depends also on the fact that an adequate vertical allocation of competencies across different levels has not been agreed yet. However, there are positive signs even on this topic because local municipalities are very seriously engaged in cooperating between each other and with other public authorities, including the already mentioned special office and the two academic institutions. And finally, software. The population shows a certain sense of place, notwithstanding all the problems met in the last few years, particularly because of the earthquake, and the inner area strategy is planning to reinforce this feeling of belonging to the same community. And it is true that public participation in policy choices has not been yet well organized, but there is a new very serious project of participating hearings, which is aimed at solving these problems. So it can be said, although the situation is very mixed, that there are anyway very promising signs of resilience and sustainable development in the region, which explain why it has been selected as an Envisioning startup village. Thank you. As anticipated, now I have to leave the webinar, but I will be very grateful if you will let me have your comments or questions, and I will be pleased to answer directly to any of you. Thank you very much for the attention.
Lelio, thanks a lot for your presentation. And just to reply to one question, I would like to remind you that all the presentation done today will be available on our platform that I will present later on. In case for the moment there are no specific questions regarding your presentation, but in our internal repository, we will also share your contact. So in case someone have some specific question, they can contact you directly. And it's now to move to the next presentation. I would like to leave the floor to Mariana Salvado, our project coordinator. Lelio, thanks again for joining the meeting, for interesting presentation. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you in this webinar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your work.
Thanks.
And I look forward to cooperating with you in the future.
For sure. This is one of the scope of this webinar and the project in general. So Mariana, please, the floor is yours. I would like to ask you, because we need to close the meeting a couple of minutes before 4 o'clock. So we are a little bit late, but I'm sure that we can save time for the next presentation. So Mariana, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Can you just please confirm me that you can see the screen?
Yes, we cannot see the screen. Okay, now we can see in presentation mode. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So, hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mariana Salvado, and I'm a project manager at the Municipality of Fundão. And here I am today to briefly explain the progress that Fundão has been making over the past years. So Fundão, it's a small city located in the interior of Portugal. We are quite well in the center, so 2.5 hours away both from Lisbon and Porto. And we are in a valley, so between two mountains, the Estrela Mountain, which is the highest mountain in continental Portugal, and the Gardunha Mountain, which makes us in a perfect spot for rural and agriculture activities that are actually our main economic sector of activity. Our council has 700 square kilometers, so very extensive, divided in 63 different parishes, and we have around 26,509 inhabitants. Like most of the territory located in the interior of Portugal over the past years, and mostly the beginning of the 21st century, we have been facing several challenges, being the most difficult one, the one related with the loss of population that was already here mentioned today several times. So the population in Fundão has been decreasing over the past years, not only because we have aging population, but also because younger generations have looked out to other places around Portugal and outside Portugal. Actually, in Portugal, 1 in every 3 young people already live outside Portugal. So I think this says a lot about the situation. Of course, this led to an abandonment of the rural areas, economic weaknesses cycle, among other major issues. In order to address these challenges that we were facing in Fundão, our current mayor, Mr. Paulo Fernandes, in 2012 decided to build up a strategy to revert this scenario. And that led us to the creation of what we call our innovation plan that was developed in 2012 through a participatory approach. So basically, at that time, the mayor and the team from the municipality decided to invite everyone from Fundão, but also those that were not living in Fundão anymore, to come, and they have created a set of events that we called the Pesha Kusha Night. The Pesha Kusha is a kind of a methodology that is used that basically consists of having several presentations, but you only have you have 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide, and you can only use images. So at the time we have run several Pesha Kusha nights, and the goal was to hear everyone about the future of Fundão. What was the aim, what they envisioned for Fundão at that time? And so we came up with this Fundão Innovation Plan that the main goal was to become Fundão more open to new people, open to new cultures, to entrepreneurs, open government, and so on. So at the time, in order to make this also possible, we have established a living lab. We call it the Cova da Beira Living Lab. That was established through a protocol signed amongst different entities that you can see here in this slide. So we had enterprises, NGOs, universities, research centers, and so on. All of these together to work to this major goal of changing the situation in Fundão, but not only in Fundão, but also the micro region where we are located at, which is Cova da Beira, where we all face these same major challenges that I was mentioning. So this plan had 4 main steps and goals, let's say, and I will briefly go through each one of them. I will start by the 4th one, which is actually related with communication and territorial marketing. So at the time, Fundão was already well known in Portugal because we are the biggest producers of cherries in Portugal, and our cherries were already very famous in Fundão. Nevertheless, we did not have established brands. So one of the first things that we have done was to really perform a very big marketing campaign around the cherries from Fundão, but not only the cherries, but other products that are equally good, like the cheese, the wine. So the endogenous products in our region are very good, are excellent products. And so we have done this very huge marketing campaign. Like the cherries from Fundão were everywhere in football stadiums. Everyone that was flying with the Portuguese airline TAP was having cherries from Fundão in the airplane. So it was a very huge effort to establish and consolidate our brand, and also at the same time to help our producers to make them seen. We have established a producers club. We took the producers from Fundão to several fairs around the globe, like in Saudi Arabia, Paris, Mexico. So very huge efforts. At the same time, we started to work on the infrastructures that we already had in Fundão, in order to create the right conditions to attract investors and people to Fundão. So at the time, back in 2012, basically our mayor decided to knock on the door of several companies mostly IT companies, because at the time we were starting to talk about digital transition, and they really saw the positive side of it, and we wanted to attract these companies because they mostly rely on human resources. They don't depend on big infrastructures or proximity with the airports and so on. They have people. And we know, and we knew at that time what these people want. They want quality of life. So we were selling Fundão by its quality of life with a low cost of living, because it's completely different to pay a rent in Lisbon or Porto and pay a rent in Fundão. And so our mayor went to knock on the door of these several companies and find a way to attract them to Fundão. But of course, in order to do that, we had to go through some infrastructures improvements. And one of the things that most of the things, the buildings that we have in Fundão already, that now welcome these companies, already existed at that time. But they were not being properly used. Like, for example, these three first images that you see here, it's our multi-purpose pavilion. Sometimes our mayor even jokes about it and calls it multi-nothing, because nothing was happening there at the time. And nowadays it's our business and shared service center, where we have more than 400 IT workers. And the same happened with other buildings, like this one that you see here in this image. Actually, this is our mayor painting the walls. This was a farmer's market, and actually is the place where I'm talking to you, from where I'm talking to you now. It's nowadays the heart of our innovation ecosystem, where we have our incubator, co-working spaces, fab lab, textile laboratories, and so on. So this building at the time was meant to be demolished to build a school, but our mayor decided not to do it. And so we kept the building, we painted the walls, changed the roof and some windows, and nowadays it is a really nice place to be at. Another thing that we have done was to improve the training opportunities here in our region. Fundão itself, the city, does not have a university. However, we do have the University of Médio Interior in Covilhã, which is the city right next to Fundão, around 15 to 20 minutes, so not that far. And we also have a Polytechnic Institute in Castelo Branco, which is 30 minutes away from Fundão. Nevertheless, we felt that we had to do something, especially because we wanted to attract these IT companies. So we really saw the need to have the talented people here. So at the time, we have created a program called the Bootcamp Academy. We have run 3 editions of a very intensive bootcamp where anyone from any field would become a programmer in just 3 months. We have a success rate of this program of 98%. So 98% of the people that have participated in the bootcamp found a job mostly in the companies that were moving to Fundão, but also in another ones. And at the same time that we have done this to people over 18, of course, we also started to provide this type of skills in our local schools. So since then, in Fundão, it's the only place in Portugal where every kid from age 6 to age 12 has coding lessons once a week during 1 hour. And this is a way for us to prepare the future. But of course, that at the same time that our kids learn how to program a robot, they also learn how to make cheese or how to work with clay, because we have created a set of 13 thematic houses that are spread through all of our council, each one of them related to a specific craftsmanship or cultural heritage in order to preserve our traditions. So the kids also, this way they have roots, but also they have wings, and this is one of our strategies as well. So as a result of this work that has been that we have been performing over the past years, here in this slide you can see some of the instruments and infrastructures that we have been able to create. So some of them I already mentioned, like the incubator, the Fab Lab. We also have a music incubator. We have 8 co-working spaces spread out throughout all of our council, and the users of the co-working spaces have access to Passwork, which is a card that gives them discounts or most easy access to some features related with the protocols that we have with other institutions, other enterprises, and so on. So it's not only the fact that they can use the space, they also benefit from several other things. And then, of course, that we have created our agrotech center, because like I said in the beginning, agriculture is the main sector of activity in Fundão. And this agrotech center that is promoted by the Municipality of Fundão as well, aims to drive innovation and entrepreneurship on rural activities. So the goal is to attract new entrepreneurs and investors for these fields, to share best practices with the agricultures that are in our region, because this was something that we really felt that there was a gap. So in one hand, the companies and the startups that are developing new technologies for the agriculture field, we knew that they felt that they didn't have that much of a chance to test in real life environment the things that they were developing. And on the other hand, we felt that the agricultures do not have access to this information of what they are developing. So we have created this center to bridge the gap between these two target groups, and that's why this agrotech center is composed by several of infrastructures. So not only the center itself, where we have events, training sessions, and so on, but also we have created several experimental fields that can be used by any company to test what they are developing. We also have a experimental unit more dedicated to the agri-food sector, where, for example, we are testing some new cheeses and so on. So, and with that, of course, we have a very strong network that is collecting several types of data, environmental data, data related with the disease and the plagues that might appear in and that might prejudice the agriculture and the crops. So, and all of this is supported by the LoRa network that we have established in Fundão back in 2012. We were the first municipality in Portugal to have a LoRa network throughout 700 square kilometers. And we know that this is something that the companies, when they look a place to invest, they really look up to, because this is a network completely free of charge. No one pays to use it, and the companies can share data freely with this type of infrastructure. So here just some images of our experimental fields and the different type of devices that are being used, like a smart trap device, a meteorological station device as well. And all of this is shared every year with all of these and other experiments that are being done not only in Portugal but outside Portugal are brought to Fundão every year in our Agriculture Innovation Fair that happens every year. This year will be in July. I leave you here the QR code if you find it interesting, and maybe you can also visit us. This is a very important moment because it's a moment where all of this knowledge is shared openly to everyone, and it's not only an event that is done for Fundão and in Fundão. Actually, it's becoming every year a more national event where everyone wants to come to be updated on what's best is being done in agriculture. And another sector that we are now starting to pursue with an advancement of the strategy is the creative industries sector. Actually, we are part of an Horizon project more focused on creative industries, more specifically in the gaming industry, and now we are creating the conditions also in Fundão to attract more professionals from these areas, like we have done in the past with other ones. Now we want to also attract these talented people. So as a result of all of this that we have been doing, we have been able to establish our Fundão's Cherries brand. And even though our population is still decreasing, during the past years, we already had a positive migratory balance due to all of the people that is moving to Fundão. Not only high qualified jobs that nowadays are more than 1,000 people. So we started from having 1 or 2 informatic engineers in the city to nowadays having more than 1,000, but also because at the same time that we were performing this strategy to attract high qualified professionals, we also started to host, for example, refugees and temporary workers from other countries in our Fundão Migration Center that was created in 2016. And that's why nowadays we have more than 70 nationalities, which is quite a lot in a small city like ours. And that also led us to win to be recognized as one of the European capitals of diversity and inclusion back in 2023 by the European Commission. Now you must be wondering how a small city can do all of this. Actually, that's only possible because we over these past years had to become very keen in looking for funding opportunities, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible to do all of these, because a small municipality has a small budget. So we have to be very creative in finding ways to fund all of this that we have been doing. So we are present I would say we are present in almost or all of the European funded programs that we are eligible to. So I will not waste too many time in this part because we are running out of time, but these were just examples of different types of projects that we are engaged with. And this is a way also for us not only to fund what we aim to do, but also to inspire the future, to learn what is best being done in Europe and in other continents, so that we can learn and try to replicate to Fundão what in other places is being done. And that also led us to create this vision for 2030 that we want to consolidate ourselves as a smart, sustainable and inclusive cities aligned with the 17 SDG goals. and all of the the strategies that the European Commission is establishing as well. And I don't know, Marco, if we have time. I just had here a small video just to finish, but if not, we can pass it. Just let me know.
Thanks, Mariana. Maybe we can upload it on the repository, so for whom are interested, they can see the video. Thanks a lot together. Even if we are a little bit in late, don't worry, because about the platform I can go fast. But I would like to now thanks Mariana again for the very interesting presentation, and also to be the project coordinator of FoodCoP. If we are here today, is also thanks to the great efforts and the great job from all the partners, but in particular from Municipality of Fundão and from Mariana in particular. So thanks a lot, and it's a pleasure to have this startup village like a project coordinator. Now I would like to leave the floor to Andrea Boffi for his presentation. Before to leave the floor, I would like to thank also him for the availability and to be here today with us. Please, Andrea, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Don't worry for the time. Could last between 5 and 10 minutes my presentation, so we can be on time.
But take your time also, because the platform, we have already started presentation and we can share to drive our users. Your presentation for sure is more interesting, and we are happy to have you today. We can see your presentation, we can hear you, we can see you. So please, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Andrea Boffi, CEO and founder of the company Big Corporation. Head work package editor of the communication and dissemination of the project Drive. Drive is basically the twin project of FoodCoP. We have been founded under the same call. B Corp took care of the whole variety and managing of the consortium, basically, as well as together with the coordinator Ital Biotech. We have basically the concept behind I will not lose sometimes about the startup village and so on, because we already talked about it. But the moment that this call went out with our team, we were like, okay, what we can do here? And we realized, right, is that the network of startup villages was just started, and they were not missing the map that took from the page of the commission about startup village. There were not so many villages. So the concept behind our point was, we would like to increase the number of startup villages. So started from municipality, they have an innovation network in rural areas, equipping them with innovation and competencies, give them sustainability, and enlarge, widen the network of the startup villages. So that's the background of the project Drive. That's how we thought the proposal that then turns out to be awarded. We provided during the project, we are providing and we will provide, is an 18-month project, few services to local and regional startup innovation ecosystem, from empowering their know-how to having accelerator program as well as academy and hackathon. So we foreseen different type of services. The moment that we define a concept node, we set up, I would say, a pretty competitive consortium. We are 11 partners and 2 associated partners. Out of them, we have one network of municipalities called New Lakes, which is the network of European rural lakes, are 15 countries, European countries, and they have 20 members, all from rural areas. And that's the point of the sustainability. So we would like to enlarge a network up to potentially 15 members, so new startup villages. And we involve directly 3 municipalities, which is Emanuel Papa in Greece, Bohini in Slovenia, and Bruges-Lac in France, that we will start and create the model of enhancing and empowering know-how and skills at regional and local level, and the idea to replicate in all the members of the new lakes. And also we have the National Association of Municipality of Lombardia with their network at national level, that hopefully we can also increase the number, or at least the model of startup village in Italy. The backbone and challenges we took, of course, they've been already discussed by the previous speaker, because there were points about market challenges, financial challenges, disparities among SMEs within rural areas, and of course, in a fragmented framework. So we propose some modules and a methodology that start from analysis of the scenario, leading to what we call roadshow. Roadshow are basically hackathon and academy, where we have daily event at rural and regional level, so they're physical event in Slovenia, Greece, and France, so in the 3 rural areas that are fully partner of the consortium. Out of them, we do basically an hackathon competition. The finalists, 12 startups, will be mentored from the business part of the consortium, and the point is then building an action plan for the startup villages at European level, including policy brief and EU policy impact and policy paper, given the fact we are Brussels-based. The most important point of the project, and thank you once again for inviting us, because for us it's really important, this cooperation between projects, and also because it's important to work between each other to reinforce the rural villages strategies and the rural strategy of the European Commission. So I was saying our main points are coming. The most important outcome of the project are the 3 roadshow. We will have it in September, October, and December in Greece, Slovenia, and France. And indeed, as I was mentioned, was an hackathon, composed classically by challenge, composition of the team, presentation of the solution, selection, and acceleration program, mentoring program. This one will be held basically from September until December, and then we start the last part of the project. As mentioned, is an 18 months project. We start in January 24, we'll end in June 20, January 25, we'll have in June 26. So the last part, the last 6 months, will be basically policy impact, policy dissemination, and raising awareness on the rural strategy of the Commission and the new startup villages. So we will come back also to you, to the participant, to ENCO, to all the FoodCoP consortium, to also support us in the roadshow dissemination, I would say. And of course, if you know, if you have connection with startups working in Greece, Slovenia, and France, you're really welcome also to suggest in our event. And after the roadshow, the purpose, of course, is to have an impact in the rural areas, in the startup villages, and to apply as much as possible the EU strategy rural areas of the European Commission. Therefore, after the roadshow, as you can see, the project has many KPIs, but the last one are all about synergy, as we are doing right now, and policy uptake. Our goal is to have sustainability transition action plans for regional SMEs. Of course, in our case, will be involved the forestry partner and rural of the consortium, but the idea is to scale up to at least other 10 member states. So I see the synergy of the project and between our project really important. And in addition, and moreover, as you are aware of, the new Horizon calls are coming. We will have the info days in Brussels as for next week. We are planning to work and extend, prolong the project and increase the awareness on the project through also different European call in Horizon. So also we can have also a chat about further potential collaboration upcoming proposals. Also because also as an Ital Biotech, we are also involved in a big I3 project on carbon farming of 9.2 million. So also in that sector, we can work together to merge basically bio-based sector and startup village strategies as well as carbon farming. So there are different ideas ongoing. And in this term, like the goal and our main goal, of course, is raise awareness on the strategy and also enhance the impact of rural area in the European Commission vision until 2050. So that's basically our main overall goal. This is the project drive. We left in the presentation the contact of the coordinator and of course also our contact as dissemination and communication or package leader. And for any question, we are of course available. As I promised, I was quick and efficient. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for the interesting presentation, for the respect timeline, but and in particular, yes, keep us update about your roadshow. We are happy if we are able to join this type of initiative. Maybe not all of them, but we will try to do all our best to be there. And regarding the collaboration for the future, I suppose our philosophy is to find a rollout also after the end of the project in order to trying to find the funding support for the next period to continue to create this type of communities, to increase and improve the visibility of the startup villages in the different sectors. So cooperation between projects like Drive is quite important and fundamental. We are now looking for the new opportunities under the umbrella of CBE, under the Cluster 6 for 2025 and also 2026. And I am quite sure that this type of workshop is a good moment also to develop the network, to identify the most promising opportunities to write together a project and to succeed for the future. So you are more than welcome with this type of presentation, and I repeat, we are extremely happy to have you today. And we also with another project. This one is led by Enco, the Simba project. We are in contact with Ilaria Re. Simba is focused on industrial symbiosis, where of course the startup villages and the regions can play an important role. So I'm really happy about, of course, the presence of all the participants, but in particular about this connection at Italian level that we are created. So thanks a lot for your inputs.
Thank you very much.
So now to complete this third and final workshop of FoodCoP, I would like to share the presentation about the platform. Let me see. Please tell me if you can see my presentation. 1 second. I would like to. Okay. Okay. So, like we have developed this platform that is a meeting point between the startup villages and all the other players. The platform is already online, and you can find to the web address platform-foodcop.eu. There are different opportunities. There are different libraries. There is a forum, but in order to access to all the full functionality of the platform, you have to be registered. So we strongly encourage all the participants to be registered on our platform. The platform is divided into 3 sections. The first one focuses on the FoodCoP platform, where you can find information about the project, about the partners, and you also can contact us. Up on the right, you can find the registration module, and we only ask for basic information, so it's extremely easy. Yes, the other section is related with the community. We have developed a library, a discussion forum. You can have access to all the members of the platform, and there is a specific area dedicated to the download. The last part is dedicated to the events where you can find and promote your event. So go very strongly about the project. I would like to focus my attention about the library, where we have identified 4 main rooms: the existing network and initiative, the EU knowledge, the founded project, and the publication. In case you want to publish something, you have to be registered, and you have to decide in which of these areas you want to promote your article. The other important section is dedicated to the forum. Also in this case, we have identified already existing rooms: circular bioeconomy, community and networking, connecting the startup villages, the food tech and innovation, startup and innovation, and in general, innovation in the rural area. Of course, like you can see, is very focused on the thematic area of FoodCoP project. Here you can have full discussion with all the members of the platform. You can open a new discussion in one of the selected rooms, and you can post question, articles, everything that could be interesting for our community. In fact, we also have this community member section where if you are not registered, you can only see the number of users that have been already registered in our platform and the discussion forum open. When you are registered, of course, you can find all the details of the members of our community. We have also developed an instant message system, so you can write and you can contact the different members of our community. You can send a private message in the specific section dedicated to the community members, and you can also have more information about the members. The last, but not the least part of our platform is about the event. In this section, we want to promote the event developed and supported by FoodCoP project, but in the same time, we would like to give a space to all the other projects, and this is related with the synergies and the network that we were discussing before, to promote your event in order to update and to keep informed all the community create on this platform. Of course, to create a new event, if you have to be registered, and in your specific page, you can click on this button, and you have to insert all the information, and events will be directly published on our website. So I'll give you just to remaining time, I'll give you a very brief overview about our platform. I repeat, it's extremely interesting and needed to receive the support to all of you. So I would like to reminder to all of you where you can find the website, that is www.platform-foodcop.eu. And I would like to ask to all the participants to register in order to be part of our community. In case you want to receive more information about the platform, you can contact us in any time. And also this presentation, together with all the other presentations, will be available in the private area of the platform. So please come there and be part of our community. So if there are no other specific questions, just to be on time, I would like to thank all the participants to this event, the speakers for the very interesting presentation done, and I would like to wish you a very nice afternoon, and for the most likely the long bridge of the 1st of May, please relax and be ready. I don't know if Mariana or the other speakers, Andrea, wants to add something.
No, I would just like to thank everyone for being here today. It was a pleasure. And thanks to Enco also to organize this webinar.
Okay. So
Thanks
thanks
also from
to
our side and from the Drive Consortium. Thanks.
thanks to all of you, and keep in touch on our FoodCoP platform. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Termino l'evento. Ok, allora termina tu.